Okay, this has nothing to do with boxing or anything like that, but I just want to point out I moved to the South to get away from snow, so it wasn't fun waking up seeing this. And that is all that is left of the little snowman I made yesterday. So, as a parent, you might want to get your kids involved in boxing, or they might come to you with the idea. They've seen movies that have come out lately that involve it, or they just have friends that are into it. So, is boxing safe enough for kids? Let's find out. So, going through some of the research and asking around people that have kids that have gotten involved, of course, the consensus is yes, it is perfectly safe to get kids involved with boxing. But but a parent, I could understand how you might be concerned about it. I mean, you always teach your kids that you don't fight, don't hit your brother, don't hit your sister, don't hit your friends. So it kind of goes against the grain a little bit in some respects, but don't think of it that way. Don't think of it as I'm unleashing my kid in there to pummel on some other kid or get pummeled. Think of it as a way to build confidence, to get more social aspects into their life, good fitness for a child. It's going to teach them discipline, how to listen to a coach, how to listen to other parents, just like any sport would. So how old do kids need to be to get involved with boxing? So there's a concern that small children could end up in the ring, could legitimately get hurt or hurt another child, and that's a fair concern. Most gyms that allow children in to train, which most of them do, prohibit children under about 8 years old from sparring anyway, which I think is a good idea. The minimum age in most states, and it actually might be a nationwide here in the U.S. thing, is 13 is the minimum age for competing, which I also think is a good idea. So it could be many years before a child even gets into the ring to spar or to compete. And in the meantime, they're just doing the training, which is actually all I do. I never spar. I don't compete, certainly. So that's why I think if you've had second thoughts about getting a child into boxing, you should reconsider. So what will children learn in their boxing lessons? Well, before they get into sparring or competing, they're going to learn the basics. That's pretty much where everybody starts. That's where I started as an adult getting into boxing. You're going to learn footwork, you're going to learn defense, you're going to learn offense, but you're going to be training on pads with a coach or one of the trainers. This is going to help get those fundamentals going. It's going to help you listen to your coach, and it's going to start to build their confidence up and really just start having fun. So what can you do to encourage a child that wants to get into boxing? Well, first of all, you can show interest in their interest, if that makes sense. If you come across as being overly concerned and worried, then your child's going to be concerned and worried. If you say, well, you don't want them to get hurt or hit, then the first thing they're going to think is, oh no, I'm going to get hurt, I'm going to get hit. So don't go about it that way. Again, know that they're not even going to be fighting or competing or sparring. It's all going to be training for the first, up until they're about 8 years old. And most gyms will let you opt out of sparring anyway. And they'll have a much more gentle approach to it. They'll work children into it. So I think your worries will be put at ease once you get into a gym, get to know the other parents, get to know the trainers. I think you'll be at ease once you start talking to them. So another thing you can do is offer praise on small achievements. If your child has managed to do 5 3-minute bouts on the punching bag and shown great focus in it and just started hitting those achievements, give them a little praise. You can provide them with time to dedicate themselves to their sport. I know that's a tough one. Everybody's busy. If you have multiple kids and to multiple things, you're running all over town trying to get them to various activities, but it's important to divvy out that time. Another thing you can do, and this one doesn't mean you have to go out and spend heaps of money. The training's already going to cost you some money. Getting some gloves is going to cost you some money. But invest a little bit into it. Invest what you can. You can get good gloves for kids for $20 or less. You can get stuff they can use at home. Jump ropes aren't that expensive, and that's really going to help them with their footwork. Another thing you can do, build your own knowledge of the industry. Do your research. There's so many YouTube videos out there that go over what's involved in a training session and how to train at home and how to get kids involved. This is just one of them where I've just compiled some information because I was interested in the subject. So another thing you can do, and again, this one you can take with a little bit of a grain of salt because it's one that costs some money. But if there's a big pay-per-view event coming up and you can afford to invest in it, have a little party. Make it like a Super Bowl thing and have the whole family sit down and watch. Now, bear in mind, those are professionals and they're fighting and hitting each other. But so don't let that sway your decision thinking that, well, oh no, this is what's going to happen to my child. Look at it more of try to focus on the technique. So this is one you might want to do after your child has already started getting into boxing, once you've gotten some of the fundamentals going, once you've talked to the trainers, talked to the coach, talked to the other parents, and done a little bit of research. So I think this is a good one, but maybe for a few months into it. So final thoughts on all this. There really is no minimum age to get a child into boxing. There's going to be minimums for sparring. Again, most gyms, it's about 8 years old before they'll let children start sparring one-on-one. In the meantime, they'll be hitting pads or hitting a punching bag or just doing the fundamentals individually. And then it's 13, it seems to be the consensus for when competition starts to become a possibility. Teach them that it's not about fighting, it's about a skill, about a discipline, about learning something, not just about getting in and hitting people. I think the whole being able to fight is kind of a side thing. It's a benefit from a greater good. And then finally, look into going to some local events if you can, or a pay-per-view type of boxing match like I mentioned before. But the most important thing is to do your own due diligence, do your own research, look into it, talk to coaches, find the best gym for your child. Karate and martial arts seems to have a really good thing going for getting kids involved, and I don't see any reason why boxing shouldn't also be on par with those. I don't see it quite as much, so maybe that's something that needs to change within the boxing world as far as trainers go. But get out there, talk to some coaches, meet some people. I think you'll really find that it's beneficial and your children will really be into it.